Can you just give it up already? I know I stole your husband from you, but eventually you're better off just quitting. He's paid you all the money he agreed to. Shouldn't that be enough? When will you be satisfied? You're even gonna get child support for at least 15 more years. You're wringing him dry as it is. The nerve of you to bother him on top of all of this. Whoa. What is this about all of a sudden? Where is this coming from? Don't act like you don't know. You've been sending us these strange letters. Every day we get another letter from you addressed to tramp or harlot or adulterer or some other awful name taped to our mailbox. It's starting to get way out of hand. I really have no idea what you're talking about. Why do you think I'm sending these letters? I don't have anything to do with them, whatever they are. It absolutely has to be you. There's no one else who would do this. Why are you falsely accusing me of harassing you and Derek? I haven't done any of this. I get why you might not be very happy with me, but falsely accusing me of harassment is a bridge too far. I'm not falsely accusing you of anything. I have proof. I can show you the letters. I'm not just going to sit around and let you get away with trying to intimidate me and Derek. I can't stand it anymore. The neighbors are starting to suspect something is up and are giving us the cold shoulder. I'm telling the truth, I promise. I really don't know who could be doing this, but I do know it's not me. There's no way it could be. Who else could it even be? Why would anyone else even do this? You're the one who has beef with me because I stole your husband from you. Why would anyone else send me letters like this? If you don't stop doing it and apologize, I'm going to call the cops on you. We'll take you to court and get a restraining order. If you're not going to admit it, we have no other choice but to get the authorities involved. Let's not be hasty now. I don't want to get the police involved when I've done nothing wrong. You may have tempted my husband away, but we were on the rocks long before you came in the picture. I guess I blamed you at first, but I've moved on. What would motivate me to harass you like this? It's been months since I've even talked to Derek, let alone you. Why would I start doing this now? Maybe you're just bored. Or maybe you got fat and you're jealous of me. Either way, I'm sure it's because you haven't been able to net yourself a new man since Derek left you. So you're taking it out on me since you're lonely and miserable. But I'm telling you, it ends now. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I really don't know what else to say. I have no reason to do anything like this. And it's not really in my nature to do it anyway, even if all that was true. This is getting to the point of defamation. It's not defamation if I'm telling the truth. I'm right, aren't I? It's been 2 years since you got divorced from Derek, and you haven't had a single relationship since then. Have you? I don't need to tell you anything about my love life. And since you're so jealous of me and Derek's happiness, you wanted to get back at me and him just because we're so much happier than you. I'm nothing of the sort. Just stop lying to yourself, Casey. I mean, I get it. You're sad and lonely and abandoned. It sucks. I've been there. But you've gotten like $50,000 out of this and more than enough to support your kid until he turns 18. And that's $50,000 less that he can spend on me. And now you're just mad that in spite of all that, you still haven't won. Because he and I are still happy in spite of you stealing all this money from us. So you're jealous and you're acting out to try to ruin the only thing we have. It's sad, really. Because you're just a miserable, single old maid who has nothing better to do with her life but harass her ex-husband. You've got me all wrong. I have much better things to do than waste my time thinking about you or Derek. I doubt that. I bet you spend every waking hour huddled in your bed with the lights off, plotting ways to ruin our life even more. Clearly, you hate us. It's your life's mission to make us as miserable as possible. Absolutely none of that is true. If anyone is the jealous one, it's got to be you. All of this seems way too specific to not be something you've done yourself. Whatever. You just don't want to admit it. You're a failure in love and in life. And I never want to hear from you again. Or here, or anywhere else. I'll call the police if I see another one of these letters in my mailbox. I'm not going to let myself be intimidated by you any longer.
Are you really not over me yet, Casey? I didn't think you were still that obsessed with me.
Not you too. I told Abby and I'll tell you too. I'm not the one sending you those letters. I was happy to just put this all behind me and forget about you and her.
Yeah, right. I doubt that. Clearly, you still have the hots for me and you're taking it out on Abby. But you're starting to creep us out. Or, well, you're creeping her out. I think it's kinda hot.
You're such a pig. And it's not me. I'm telling the truth.
It doesn't matter anyway. I'm not in love with you anymore. And even if you were hot when you were younger, you're not anymore. I'm happy with Abby and nothing you can do is gonna change that. I guess I do have you to thank for introducing me to her.
I didn't introduce you to her. I invited her to our wedding because she was my mom's friend's daughter and we grew up together. I never even liked her. And you, for some reason, on our wedding day, decided you were going to get her number and you started seeing her behind my back. You barely waited until the ink was dry on our marriage license to start cheating on me. I wish I would have found out about it sooner so I could have just ended it before we even really got started.
Nah, that's not right. You definitely introduced me to her.
What?
You told me she was a personal trainer, which you knew I was looking for, which is why I got her number. The cheating thing just happened spontaneously. I didn't intend to cheat when I met her.
Does that really matter?
It does to me. If you didn't want me to cheat, you didn't have to introduce her to me.
Oh, so this is my fault somehow.
Whatever. I'm not gonna do this. Anyway, you should really just give it up. I'm not getting back together with you regardless. I'm perfectly happy with Abby. We actually have fun on our dates. She's a way better partner than you ever were. And she doesn't spend all my money like you do. At least I get to choose to shower her with gifts and spend on stuff I want to spend on instead of you just taking all my money from me.
Great, whatever. I don't care. You have fun with your new girlfriend. I have no plans on getting back together with you. So go ahead. Keep blowing your cash buying her expensive gifts and taking her to fancy restaurants. It's pretty funny that you accuse me of being a gold digger when it seems like you're spending twice what you are on my payments on her. She doesn't really seem like your girlfriend. She seems more like a... well, I shouldn't say it.
Yeah, you better not. I don't care what you think. She likes it when I spend money on her. It's worked for me this far, so I'm just gonna stick with it. Though I'll admit she's starting to strain my budget a little bit. She's got expensive taste.
I thought you were making plenty. Last I heard, Abby was bragging about how rich you were.
Yeah, well, even I have my limits. I've been managing to stretch it and take on extra work here and there to bump it up, but it's still getting to the point where I'm pushing it. She blows through a ton of money no matter what I do.
Huh. That's a little surprising. How exactly is she spending your money so easily?
Well, I give her a bit every month just to buy stuff she wants without me having to do anything. But she blows through it so fast and always asks for more. And it's hard for me to say no. I guess I wasn't used to dating someone who loves to shop. You were pretty easy since you never wanted much. But basically, all my money not spent on bills goes to her.
Guess you better find a second job.
I don't have time for that.
Well, sounds like you need to figure it out.
I did have an idea. If you're still so in love with me, why don't you just return all the money from the divorce? And maybe you can convince the judge to stop child support too.
I'm not doing any of that. I told you already, I'm not in love with you. I have no plans on going back to you or giving you any money back. I'm already happily remarried. Why would I even bother with anything to do with you?
Did you actually get remarried? There's no way you're telling the truth.
What is that supposed to mean?
Exactly what it sounds like. I doubt an ugly old woman like you can even find a man these days. He'd have to be properly blind to find you worth marrying. I bet you made him up. There's no way he actually exists.
He definitely exists. I have photos if you want.
Nah, don't waste the data. I bet he's some mouth-breathing loser who couldn't get a real girl and settled for you. You'll never be anything like Abby. She's gorgeous and funny, and you're just ugly and mean. Even if you did find someone to take home, I'm sure he'd dump you before he ever considered proposing. There's no world where you found a man to actually marry you again. Which is for the best, because God help anyone who marries you. You were a terrible wife. You could barely boil water, let alone properly cook.
I'm a perfectly fine cook. You just had unreasonably high standards. If you wanted a professionally cooked meal every night, you should have hired a private chef instead of making me struggle to feed you 5-star meals.
Stop complaining. If anyone should complain, it's me. I had to eat that crap. That's part of why I started going out with Abby. To get away from your awful cooking. We would go out to eat just so I could have a proper meal.
Are you just going to keep insulting me like this?
I'm just telling you the truth. And anyway, you were the one who brought this on with that weird letter stuff. You better stop it before it goes too far. If you weren't acting like such a creep, maybe I'd leave you alone.
I thought I told you to stop. I was serious when I said I would call the cops if this keeps happening.
I can't believe we're talking about this again.
I keep telling you I have nothing to do with any of this. If it's not you, then who keeps putting these letters on our mailbox? They've started taping them to our door, too. And they even spray painted it across the front of our house. It's getting to be a real problem. We've gotten complaints from the HOA. They're threatening to have us kicked out if this keeps happening.
Sounds like whoever is doing this is trying to escalate. Maybe you should talk to the cops about it?
I already did. I'm not stupid. They told me there's nothing they can do until I can prove it was you or someone else. But there's no way it could be anyone other than you.
I don't know how I can say it any other way. Maybe you should install some security cameras or something. Or get one of those doorbells that connects to your phone. They're kinda expensive, but at this point, I'm not sure you have any other choice.
Why should I bother wasting my money on cameras and doorbells when I already know who the culprit is? I'm already spending plenty of money getting the exterior repainted. And I'm wasting all my time fighting with my neighbors and the HOA about it as well. I barely have time to keep up with all of it.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah, it is. You've gotten your wish. I'm blowing all my time and money dealing with your antics. Are you happy now?
I promise you, I'm not doing any of this. But I do have to wonder, is it really that expensive to get a wall repainted?
Well, they insist we pay to repaint the entire house since it'd be a different color if we didn't. It's like $5,000. And you should pay for it.
Absolutely not. No way. I'm not paying a dime for something I had nothing to do with.
Well, you owe me for all the pain and suffering you've caused with all this crazy behavior. You're practically stalking us at this point. I really should be calling a lawyer to sue you by now.
You're free to, but it's a waste of time. I'm on my honeymoon right now.
What? You are?
Yeah, I've been out of the country for well over a month now. So there's absolutely no way I could be the one sending you those letters or spray painting your wall. Feel free to talk to a lawyer if you really want to waste the time and money, but it's not going to be worth it. But I'd rather you just leave me out of it.
How are you on your honeymoon?
I mean, I got married. Naturally, after that, me and my new husband went on a trip. Pretty normal after a wedding, right? My new husband and I have been traveling across Europe for the past month.
And we're going to Asia starting tomorrow. I haven't been anywhere near you or your house for the past 5 weeks. Did you really remarry? I did. I even have the pictures to prove it. So you're not still in love with Derek? You don't want to get back together with him? Absolutely not. I am quite happy with my new husband. Way happier than I ever was with Derek. How did you manage that? I actually wasn't single for very long. I met my new husband basically right after I got divorced. We actually met at a support group for recent divorcees. And we hit it off almost immediately. I really should be thanking you for stealing my husband, or I never would have met my new one. Then, if none of this is your doing, who's been painting my wall and leaving me these threatening notes? How should I know? My guess is as good as yours. Maybe it's the wife or the girlfriend of some other guy you tried to steal. I haven't tried to steal anyone else's husbands. I swear! I guess I did mess around with some of my friends' boyfriends before I met Derek. But that was ages ago. I haven't seen any of those girls since we all graduated college. And I haven't done anything since then. Though what? I guess I did do something with my little sister's boyfriend. Or, well, ex-boyfriend now. I can't believe you! You stole your little sister's boyfriend? I didn't really mean to. What do you mean you didn't mean to? Did you trip and fall into him? It was a party and I had gotten a little tipsy and it was spur of the moment. And I didn't really know if they were dating at the time. I guess I kinda knew. But it was up in the air, you know? I really don't. And it's not really an excuse for messing around with your own sister's boyfriend. But there's no way that can be it. There's no way she could have found out. I doubt he told her about it. And I haven't said anything to her about it either. Maybe I should ask her about it. That might be a good idea. But it's gonna be super awkward either way. Yeah. I really, really don't want to ask her though. If she's not mad at me now, she's gonna be after I ask her about it. At this point, I'm not sure you have any other choice. You clearly need to stop whoever's vandalizing your house. So you better get to the bottom of it fast before you get kicked out. What do I even say to her? Did you realize I messed around with your boyfriend, maybe? What? There's no way I'm going to ask her that. I'm not just going to confess to her out of the blue. If she doesn't know, I don't need to tell her. If you don't say something, it's just gonna continue. You're gonna have to come clean one way or another. At this point, you're gonna have to repaint the building on a daily basis. I doubt you can afford that. Yeah. Well, anyway, good luck. I'm gonna go back to enjoying my honeymoon. You were right, Casey. It was her. It was my little sister after all. So you figured it out? How did you manage that? Well, I thought about it more, and there really was no way it could have been anyone other than her. I talked to a few of my other friends who could have been the culprit, but all of them live on the other side of the country now. So I had no choice but to go to Maggie and ask her about it. And surely enough, it was her. I had no choice but to admit it to try to get her to stop. And now she's trying to get me to pay her. She's threatening to sue me. Wow. She's a crafty one, that Maggie. How did she manage to get that worked out? I have to say, I respect the hustle, as awful as it is. How can you say that? My life is falling apart. How is she going to be able to sue you for damages? They weren't married, were they? They were. They had gotten eloped right before I hooked up with him and didn't tell anyone. So they actually got divorced because of me. And she found out that it was me after they split up. Which is why it took so long for her to start all this. I can't believe she'd do this to me. Well, to be fair to her, you were the one who started it. None of this would be happening if you weren't the one who tried to steal her boyfriend, or, well, husband away from her. I don't really want to defend her for harassing you, but at the same time, you did end her marriage before it even really got started, didn't you? Sorta like you did with mine. Hard for me to feel much sympathy. But is it really worth suing me over? If anything, I should be suing her for all the property damage. Can you prove it was her that did it? I mean, I think so. Like, hard proof? Like, say, from a security camera? Well, maybe not that. Maybe there's another way, though. It'll be your word against hers. I doubt it'll be enough to convince a judge. Then what about this causing me emotional stress? My parents have already said that they're cutting me off. They already said that they're mad at me for breaking up Maggie and her husband and don't want to see me at Christmas. Well, I'm not sure what you expected to happen. I didn't intend to do it. I didn't even really know it would happen. It was a mistake. I'll say. I didn't mean for it to end up like this. Well, I really don't know what to tell you. This is just what happens when you fool around with people's husbands. You got lucky once finding a guy who already didn't care about his wife. And you're lucky that I was happy to let him go. But it definitely doesn't work out like that most of the time. So I guess you reap what you sow. Yeah, but I can't be reaping $20,000. Wow, really? Is she really asking for that much? That's crazy. Not to mention the legal fees. I'm gonna be in the poorhouse if the judge agrees with her. What about your rich husband and all the money he gives you? He should make more than enough to cover it, shouldn't he? I bet he has more than enough saved up to bail you out. How do you know so much about my husband's finances? Well, I was married to him, if you've forgotten somehow. But he did talk to me a little while ago about you and money. He said you had quite expensive taste. Though it seemed like you were straining his wallet a bit, even if he was able to keep up for the most part. What? Why did he tell you all this? You'd have to ask him. I have to say, though, it's quite an achievement to be spending all his cash. He makes enough to make a venture capitalist blush. Though he might not be so happy about having another expense on top of everything you spend already. He said he's barely able to buy anything for himself as it is. He might reconsider if he's suddenly not able to pay the bills because of you. Maybe you should cut back on your spending a bit if you're going to have to shell out for breaking up your sister's marriage. Well, I do spend a bit of money, I guess. I just have refined taste. I guess I could cut out some of my pricier lunches. And maybe shop a little less. But he should have more than enough to cover it, right? And he's gonna want to keep me happy. It shouldn't be a problem if she managed to calm the judge into making me pay. I'm not so sure about that. It'll be fine. I'm sure I won't have to pay anyway. I'll just apologize to my little sister and this will all go away. It's worth a shot, but at this point, I think she might just be out for blood. I'm not sure you're going to be able to keep her from going through with it. If she's gone so far as to vandalize your house and risk getting arrested, I don't think she'll be satisfied until she's had you for all you're worth. Then what do I do? I think you're just gonna have to find a way to pay up. What's done is done at this point. Can't you do anything to help me? I'm really in a bind here. I guess I do feel a little bit of pity for you. I might be able to help you out, even if I probably will regret it.
Why did you sell me out to Abby like that? I told you that in confidence. And what's the deal with her and her sister? Did she really hook up with her husband?
Seems to be the case. And now it looks like she's in some hot water.
Well, if she ends up getting sued, I'm gonna have no choice but to divorce her. She's gonna suck me dry if I have to pay for her settlement. There's no way I can afford all that. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck as it is.
I guess that's what happens when you marry for looks instead of brains. I can't say I'm surprised she's bad with money. Though I'd expect you to be a bit better with it. How's the whole buying her love thing working out?
At least try to seem a little sympathetic, will you? I'm in a real pinch here, Casey. I can't keep going on like this, even with the amount I'm making. Between my child support payments to you and the rent and all the other bills and everything Abby burns through a month, I'm left with practically nothing. And if I have to pay for her settlement on top of that, I'm gonna be in the red.
Don't you have savings?
They're gonna all be gone by the time I pay off her sister.
That sucks. I guess I do feel a little bad for you getting caught up in all this. But I also am not sure why you're surprised that a girl you cheated with is getting in hot water for having hooked up with a different married man. In my experience, they tend to have a type. And it tends to be married guys. So it's not a big shock to me that something like this happened.
I didn't think she had had an affair with anyone else's husband before. I just figured she had done it just because she liked me, not because she had made a habit of it.
Maybe you should have learned a bit more about her history before shacking up with her. If you had talked to her at all about anything meaningful, you would have probably realized that she had fooled around with plenty of her friends' boyfriends in the past. But you clearly don't actually care about the women you end up with.
Whatever. You're clearly still jealous of her. You're just making more stuff up to try to get me to break up with her.
Why don't you just ask her yourself? At this point, I doubt she has any reason to lie to you.
It doesn't matter either way. I've already made up my mind. I'm gonna divorce her before this gets too messy. I'm sure she'll end up taking some of my money either way, but at least this way I can keep her sister from totally cleaning me out. Either way, I'm definitely not getting back with you. Even if you are way cheaper than she ever was, you're still ugly and a bad cook.
Why do you feel the need to keep insulting me? I keep telling you that I have no interest in getting back with you, but you keep insisting on acting like I care at all, and then calling me ugly to my face.
Well, you are ugly and desperate. I'm just telling it like it is.
Shut up, you arrogant man-child. As much as I can't stand Abby, I'm actually happy for you to be divorcing her. She doesn't deserve to put up with you any more than I did. Did I ever tell you how glad I was to get rid of you? And now I'm happier than I ever would be with you. I married a smart, handsome lawyer.
Wait, you did? You actually did remarry? I thought you were making it up.
I wasn't making up anything.
Maybe he could help me with my divorce?
Fat chance. Even if he was willing to do it, he's already representing Abby.
What?
I guess we'll see you in court. The next few months were quite a mess for Abby and Derek, to say the least. Abby ended up in court for months and months, first fighting her husband in family court. She was most successful there, able to get out of the divorce with enough money to keep her from going under, but her luck didn't last long. Her second case was against her sister, and while Maggie's case was far from airtight, what she lacked in evidence, she made up for in ruthlessness. Her lawyer was a real shark, and while my husband managed to keep Abby from getting put out on the street, even the best attorney couldn't get her out of everything. Much of the money she ended up getting from Derek went straight into Maggie's pocket, after legal fees, of course. And that was even after the generous discount I convinced my husband to give her. Now, with her life truly ruined, she's doomed to live out the rest of her days divorced and penniless. I, however, couldn't be happier despite all the drama. I guess in the end, cheaters never prosper, huh? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to see more.